and your mayor, Bill de Blasio. So I'd like to invite up Summer Rain Fields to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hold on, let's everyone stand up. There you go, there's the flag. You ready? Okay, get close to you. There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent.
Everyone, let's hear for Summer. So I'd like to thank our hosts for this evening, the Hebrew Educational Society, Associate Executive Director Moishit Rifkin. Very good. And I know, let's hear some applause. Also, our co-sponsors for this evening, Community Board 18, the 69th Precinct Council, the Bayview Houses Resident Association, the Canarsie Improvement Association, and Millennium Development. I'd also like to acknowledge special guests from the office of Borough President Eric Adams and District Leader Lou Fiddler. Now I'd like to hand it over to your council member, Alan Mizell.
I almost forgot. Good evening, everybody. My first number.
That's right.
Yeah. In any event, I'm really so pleased that so many people are here. I thank the HES and Moshit for being our landlord, landlady again, as the HES was last year. And I did want to respond to some people who asked why we didn't do this in the Mill Basin area or further west. They have the best air conditioning. It's hard to find a gymnasium that'll hold this many people that's air conditioned. So thank you so much for accommodating. This is not an easy thing for the building to do. After all, they have their own programs, and they've been really, really wonderful. So this is the second time we were in Canarsie, and I want to thank Mayor de Blasio for coming to the 46th Council District again. Every time he's here, and he's here not just for town hall meetings, it has been a great privilege because when the mayor shows up, things get done. And I know a lot of people have questions. We're not going to be able to get every single person to be have their question asked, but we're going to try to get to as many as possible. If you have a question that you want, please be very, very precise. One question, don't ask multiple questions. Because if you do that, we won't be able to get to as many people as we can. So, Mr. Mayor, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Alan. Everybody, I am so glad to see you this evening. I appreciate it. It is a beautiful, beautiful summer night. And this is a testament to democracy that even on a beautiful summer night, everyone is here to try and make sure that their community gets the things it needs, gets the answers you deserve, and that you make this a better place for everyone to live. So that, to me, in a time when some people are understandably worried about the nature of our democratic institutions, here is a really good example of democracy the way it's supposed to be. A whole lot of people care and are involved. Give each other a round of applause. Want to thank everyone who helped us put together this evening. We do want to hear from as many people as possible and get as many things covered. And the councilman's right. A lot of times the town hall meeting leads to solutions, sometimes right then and there, sometimes later on. But the ideas and the seeds planted here often make a very big difference. So your presence here means a lot. We have with us here, and this is I always like to tell this to people, it's so important. A town hall meeting comes with the normal concept that I'll offer you a quick update, and then you're going to raise a whole bunch of concerns to me and the councilman, and it's our job to answer and do something about it. But there is then a bonus round, which is the fact that you have the heads of a number of city agencies, either the top person or some of the very top people at city agencies that have a really big impact on your life are all here. And they're available after the town hall meeting. And so when the formal meeting is done, if there's other things you want to raise or things you want to follow up on, you do not have to go make an appointment or travel to another borough or anything. They're standing right here, and they're waiting to talk to you. Now, you may be good and compassionate people who think, well, these hardworking public servants, should we keep them here even later? They've worked a hard day, long day. Should we keep them here all night? And I want you to know they are so dedicated. They are so concerned about the people of the city, they will stay here all night if you want them to. Okay? Try me out. Just try me out. See how long you can keep them here. But these folks really do a great job, and I want to thank them all for being here. We've got the leadership of the NYPD for this council district, all the precincts covered here. Let's thank all of the leaders of the NYPD for all they do. We thank you. Special acknowledgement and thanks to Lou Fiddler, who I had the honor of serving with in the council for many years. And I want to give you some good news, Lou. I got good news that Lou championed many things, but two of the issues he championed were summer youth employment and providing more help and support for homeless and runaway youth. And I can tell you, in just the last couple of years since the last town hall meeting, and with Alan's great help, we are at the all-time high in the number of summer youth jobs, the all-time high of the number of shelter beds for homeless and runaway youth, and you got the ball rolling. So thank you very much, Lou Fiddler. I want to say about Alan that he has done, I think, an extraordinary job. Alan is highly respected at City Hall. When he comes in with an idea, people listen. They know he has an extraordinary history, and what I love about him is before he ran for office, he was a teacher, and there is nothing more important in our society than being a teacher, so I thank you for that. But you have been a real partner in getting a lot done for this community, for all the communities of your district and beyond. So I want to say at the outset, every community makes a choice about who to represent them. What you hope is that your representative can get people to do things and pay attention and get results. I can say, from the perspective of City Hall, I've seen him in action. He is getting real results. Let's give him a round of applause. So we do these town hall meetings. This is the 57th town hall meeting I have done as your mayor, and I did my return engagement here, and I'm thrilled to be back. We are also doing City Hall in your borough week. We're in Brooklyn all week. We have the whole administration based in Brooklyn, and it's helping us to focus on the needs of our communities better, and that's something we're going to do every year, and it's making a big difference. And part of why that is so important, I don't need to tell you that there's a lot of folks who would say that this district was too often ignored by City Hall over the years. And I'm a proud Brooklynite, and I like to remind people, first of all, most of us in New York City live in the outer boroughs. 7 million of us live in the outer boroughs, so it's not just Manhattan. But even within the outer boroughs, some areas did not get their fair share, particularly if they were in the outer part of the outer boroughs. And so this district is one that's deserved a lot more attention and focus. My administration has heard from me that mandate to make sure that we are equitable, that resources are flowing here, and that our commissioners, our agencies are paying attention. And tonight, I hope we can demonstrate that. And one of the first things I can say to demonstrate that, as part of a couple of quick updates, is what's happening with NYPD, which continues to impress me deeply. We put a lot of resources in, and I want to thank the council. They really led the charge on increasing the size of our police force. We have 2,000 more officers on patrol than we did just a couple of years ago. That's making a big difference. But I want to say, I want to brag about the 6-9 precinct, because these numbers I just love this. 6-9 precinct today versus a year ago today. Overall major crime down over 12% in just a year. Homicide in this precinct down over 40%. Shootings down over 40%. So when you think about what our police officers are doing, and they're doing it, by the way, with more and more partnership with communities because of neighborhood policing, and this is another really big piece of the equation. I think this is what we've tried to create, and it's happening more and more, a real deepening partnership between communities and police that's helping them to do their jobs better. So when you see those amazing numbers, that amazing progress, the community gets a lot of credit for that as well. But it's not just anything serious like violence we want to address. We want to address quality of life. And we have heard in this community one of the biggest quality of life issues has been abandoned vehicles. And I get why. I'm a homeowner myself in Brooklyn. I understand why that's something that's really upsetting to people. So NYPD and other agencies working in partnership, I can tell you that this year compared to last year have towed over 70% more vehicles that were abandoned in this district. We hear you. We're going to be doing that. If a vehicle's abandoned, we want to send a message to owners that we're going to be taking it away and that there are real consequences. So I really want to thank PD and the other agencies for that. And then I want to talk to you just really quick, a couple other things. As I mentioned, I think really one of the most important things in our society is bringing up our young people to be prepared for the modern world. That means our schools have to get better all the time. To me, that has meant a focus on early childhood education. That I think for years and years and years in the city, we were barking up the wrong tree. We wanted our kids to get ready to be the best they could be, and we didn't give them the education they deserved young enough to have the kind of impact, because those early years are when kids can learn the best. We made a big step forward with pre-K for all, and I want to tell you, council member, your council district has 3 times more pre-K seats full day than it did just 4 years ago. Congratulations. And in the next few years, we are going to build upon pre-K for all with the latest, greatest, next innovation, 3K for all. 3-year-olds will get a free, high-quality education in our schools. Now, I want to do a survey of the room here very quickly, and I know everyone will answer very honestly. Do you believe that our middle school kids get after school for free in New York City? Do you believe that every middle school child has a right to after school for free in New York City? If so, raise your hand. Okay. Those who said that, you are correct. But there's not enough people who know it. So I'm asking everyone, I'm deputizing everyone in this room of very active, involved citizens to say, listen, this is something that we perfected over the last few years, but there's still thousands of kids not taking up the opportunity. So if you're in middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you get after school for free. It may be in your own school building. It will certainly be in your neighborhood if it's not in the building itself. But it's free, it's available, and there are thousands of seats that are going wanting that shouldn't, because after school gives kids a lot of enrichment in a safe, positive environment. So if everyone please spread the word, plenty of seats available in September for kids who need them. Now, very quick, want to say that the councilman has really pushed us on investments in schools, a variety of fronts. And again, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to schools. One of the things was to fix a lot of the damage that Hurricane Sandy did to our schools. And obviously this community had that. Those projects have been really high impact. I want you to know that $67 million went into fixing schools in this community. And that's going to make those schools not only more resilient, but it's also fixing a lot of other things in the schools simultaneously. including playgrounds and other things at the same time. But here is a breaking news, brand new item that the council member very passionately fought for. He saw a vision of what he thought would help kids to learn about nature and the environment and science. And he put his money where his mouth is, and we are putting our money into to achieve his vision along with the borough president. So at PS 312, there will be a new learning garden with hands-on science classes, almost a $10 million project that will help a whole generation of kids to be ready and prepared when it comes to the sciences. So thank you, council member. Obviously, wherever I go in this city, I'm almost done with these, but real quick, wherever I go, I would say if I had to choose what's the number one issue, what's the thing the most New Yorkers raise in the most neighborhoods, it would be the cost of housing. Well, a very wise gentleman once said the rent is too damn high. Remember that? Truer words ain't never been spoke. So we're all feeling that stress in a lot of different ways. But we're trying to do a lot of things to address it. And that means helping residents who are in rental housing and facing eviction, and a lot of times those evictions are not legal, but they still have happened in the past. With the help of the City Council, we're providing legal services to stop evictions, and 1,400 people in this district have gotten legal support to help keep them in their homes. We've got homeowners who are getting property tax breaks for a variety of reasons, seniors, folks with disabilities, but also veterans. This is something the councilman championed. We've got almost 2,000 homeowners in this council district who are getting a property tax break because they're veterans and they deserve that respect. So we really want to thank you for that. And of course, the number one element of affordable housing in this city is public housing itself, is NYCHA. And we are investing a lot to fix the many, many things that need fixing at NYCHA. And two examples here in the council district, almost $18 million was spent to fix the roofs at Sheepshead Bay houses. That was completed in the spring. Those roofs are fixed. There will not be leaking anymore. And there was 16,000 feet of scaffolding all over that development to protect people while the roofs are being fixed, and that has now been removed. So a really good thing to improve the quality of life there. An even bigger project at Bayview Houses, $55 million to fix the roofs there. And the first roofs, it's a lot of roofs, it's a big development. The first roofs will be fixed as early as January and then more after that. So those are big investments to help public housing. Now, two more things I got for you. And they're both related to how we get around. We need to be able to get around more easily in this city. It's on everyone's mind. And we also need, when we get around, for it to go more smoothly. And one of the things we really focused on is Vision Zero and safety on our roads. NYPD, TLC, DOT have done a great job. We've got some major safety improvements in this council district, pedestrian crossings and upgrades that we've made to them and to traffic islands so it's easier to cross the street, and that's on different parts of Flatbush Avenue, Ralph Avenue, Rockaway Parkway. Also resurfacing the roads. I think you've all probably had the experience I have had that some of our roads are rather bumpy and we want them to be smooth. So in this district, in the last year, we have done 74 miles of repaving on Ralph, Remsen, Garrettson avenues and Rockaway and Ocean Parkway. So a lot of resurfacing, repaving, and hopefully that's going to last for a long time and improve the quality of life. And then finally, on everyone's mind in a lot of different parts of Brooklyn and certainly in Manhattan as well is the L-Train Shutdown. So I am, wherever I go, I am telling people we are taking this very seriously. It is August, and we're talking about all the time. It's not supposed to start till April, so we're talking almost 8 months. But we are focused on this because we know it's going to affect people's lives. There's going to be a lot of measures put in place to provide alternatives for ways for people to get around. We know it's going to be a lot of dislocation, but we also are taking very, very serious steps to address it, and we're working very well with the MTA on it. So I want people to hear that, and there'll be constant updates. And please, as it gets closer, pay attention to those updates, because we're going to help, we hope to show people the best way to get around and to avoid some of the disruption. But another very important question that people have raised, and I know we'll talk about it tonight, but I just want to say it up front, is, you know, even when the L train is working the way it's supposed to, a lot of people in this district feel, of course, it takes a whole long time to get where they're trying to go, and you would like more options. I have heard loud and clear from the council member and other folks that you want us to consider ferry service for this community. So I do not have an answer. I will always tell you, when I have an answer, I'll tell you. When it's final, I'll tell you. And if it's not, and I will tell you tonight some things you may want to hear, some things maybe you don't want to hear, but I'll try and always tell you the truth. But I can tell you one thing that is a fact. We are finalizing the list of communities that are being formally studied because we think there is a possibility of making it work based on ridership and the physical realities and one thing and another. So at least I can tell you this, Canarsie is on the finalist list for consideration for new ferry service. And that final decision will be made this year. So stay tuned, and with that, I turn it back to our host and moderator, Councilman Alan Maisel. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So with all those things that you said, we really don't have any questions. Before I just want to make an introduction. We have a representative from the State Controller de Napoli. And I want to give out a shout out to the 69th Precinct Community Council, Clergy Council. And they're here, and they're an extremely important part of the Canarsie community. If you're on the Clergy Council, please say hi. All right, so what we've done in the past, basically, we just go around and we get one person from each section, and we keep on going until I'm exhausted. So, anybody have a question on this side? Yes, sir.
Okay, and we send a microphone to each person for their question. There you go.
This ferry thing, it's federal. The Canarsie piers are federal. How do you get around that?
It's what now?
Federal. It belongs to the federal.
Yeah, no, that's a real issue. So this is, I'll be quick, but this is an important point to make. To do ferry service, we have to have an appropriate place to land. And so I think what people understandably think is they're like, okay, there's water, therefore we can have ferry service. Turns out, I didn't know a lot about ferries until we started this, but there's a lot of other things that have to be taken into account. How deep is the water? Do we have a pier we can use? Do we have to build a pier? How long does it take to get from where people get on to wherever they may be going, which sometimes is a really fast ride. Sometimes it's a lot longer than people think. So we're going to be looking at all this, and we're going to tell people what we find. But yeah, you're exactly right. For some place to be workable, we have to have a right to it. So if it's federal, the federal government has to let us use it. If not, we have to find another place.
Yes, ma'am. Wait.
Hold on, you get a microphone. Hold on.
Oh. Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How can I communicate, respond to this event so that Mayor de Blasio, I know for sure that he has taken my ideas into consideration? Who would I, respond, communicate with on behalf in regards to this town hall?
Okay, well, whatever your concern is, I don't know if she has a concern she's going to raise it. If you have a concern, I'm listening, and then one of my staff will come up to you afterwards to be the follow-up person. So do you have a specific thing you want to raise?
Yeah, but I'd like it to, be directed.
Okay, so we'll have someone follow up with you directly in a moment, and then they'll see you after the meeting.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to this section here. Deborah?
Hi, good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay. I'm I'm going to ask you this question on behalf of my cousin, who you remember.
Hey.
The ban on your plastic straws is very troubling. Look, I do love dolphins, and I love the but this is the reason. As you know, I chair a disability committee.
Yeah.
With developmental disabilities, many of them have trouble with their hands, their gripping, and chewing, and paper doesn't work in this population. They swallow. So banning them, what are we going to do when you ban them and these people need these straws? And you can't keep using the same one because it just comes a time you can't sterilize it. So I'm asking you, what are we going to do about this?
That's a great question, and I cannot, I don't want for a moment to tell you that I fully understand the issue, so I'm glad you're raising it. Again, this is why we do these meetings, to hear things when people may not know otherwise. Sanitation Commissioner's here. I'll start. She'll pick it up. The idea of banning in general, which has not happened yet, it's an idea, but I think it's the right idea for the exact reason you said. There's an extraordinary amount of plastic now in the ocean. It's very, very dangerous to the future of the whole Earth. And there are other alternatives that people can use in general. Now, if you say there are some people who need that, I think there must be a way to find a valid exception, and I'm certainly open to that. So, Commissioner, you have thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So, as you know, we do feel very strongly about plastic straws, but we are working very closely with advocates who have brought to our attention the need for certain people who need to use straws because of their medical conditions, and we're working to try and figure out how to incorporate exceptions into any legislation to make sure that we don't cause a hardship.
Okay, moving on. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Rachel. How are you? And Bill de Blasio, Mayor Bill de Blasio, you touched on a lot of things that made sense. With
Thank
the
you.
rent being too damn high, and the building, and all the construction that's going on. One thing I don't see happening is programs for the youth, so that they don't get into the trouble that they're getting into. With all these new buildings that's going up, and people have to work and work a lot. But there are no community services for these children to go hiking and do things and stay out of trouble, because the youth really is the future. And if we don't teach them, things that they can learn that a lot of people had growing up that I just don't see anymore, what are we doing about that? With everyone that's allowed to build and get tax breaks, and they promise low-income housing, and low-income housing is oftentimes, it's a lie.
But I'm going to stay on the first question. Again, we want everyone to get to one important thing, and then we can get to as many people as possible. I will say, I'm sure we can get into a deeper conversation on affordable housing, but there's a whole lot of different types of affordable housing, and some are for folks, for example, who do everyday jobs in New York City, nurses and bus drivers and janitors, the kind of salaries that they make, and others are for lower income folks. There's a whole range. So I really want to emphasize that. There's not enough. I will tell you and everyone else to your face that I know there's not enough. We're trying to build more. We're trying to subsidize more. But I really want to dispel the notion that it's all one income level or another. It's a very broad range. But on the question of the youth programs, look, I would love to see a lot more, and we're trying to do more. As I said, there's been a real expansion, for example, of summer youth employment. That's been a big piece. There's been a real expansion of a lot of internship and mentorship programs. But the one I want to emphasize is what I said earlier. It's literally a universal right now for middle school kids to get after school. Now, we're talking 5 days a week, and you're talking about any kid in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, and that's often the time that's most sensitive, where a kid is getting a lot of influences, going through their own changes. We want to make sure those kids are in a good place. It's a universal right. So the first thing I want to say is, I think if we made sure that every kid who would benefit from that actually gets connected to it, and that's in their own neighborhood, that's a big piece of the equation you're talking about, how to make sure we treat them right. The idea then is to keep building upon that.
Correct.
But I do think there are some really good options out there. And if you think about that one piece, that means on every school day, for a 6th, 7th, or 8th grader, they go school and then 3 more hours. That really does keep them off the streets at the times where there's actually the most trouble. It's harder for high school, to be honest. We don't have the same kind of universal right, although a lot of high schools do have a lot of programming going on, extracurriculars and things. But for the middle school level, we're in a strong place, and we'll keep building on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to say to everyone, hold on one sec. Everybody, you're going to get a microphone when you ask your question. You just have to be patient for 1 second. They bring a microphone to you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Raven Faison. On June 30th, my brother was murdered. Officers Lisa, Lavelle, and Robert Antone pulled up in a cruiser and somehow left my brother laying there. I would like to know, is there anything else that's going to be done? I heard they were suspended, but I want to know if they're going to be fired.
Please tell me, just so I know, where did it happen?
It happened on Broadway and Decatur in Brooklyn.
I'm so sorry for your loss, first of all, and I did hear the horrible tragedy, and I know there has been an investigation. I'm not sure if it's continuing, so why don't you come up, Chief, and talk about what the status of that is.
That unfortunate incident occurred in Brooklyn North. It's currently being investigated by the Internal Affairs Division and the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. It'll take time for an outcome, but it's very possible what you're looking for may happen.
Okay, so that's both the police department, just to clarify, police department's own investigation of the officers, but also separately the district attorney. So we'll make sure that, Chief, will you make sure someone keeps her informed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to this section. This gentleman, blue jacket. I think that's blue jacket, yes.
Thank you. Hello, good evening, Mayor. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming, and it's so refreshing for all of us to gather here that represents democracy. I'm a resident of Canarsie for over almost 30 years. There's excessive speeding on our roads. Seaview Avenue, Avenue J is a racetrack. Remsen Avenue, Flatlands Avenue, that needs to be addressed. Too many times we've seen on the news mothers, families weeping. There was a mother who was taking her kids home from school, and these kids were driving without a driver's license, and they were driving at crazy speed. The car got out of control, killed the woman and her kids. We have to do something about this. I live on East 84th and Avenue J. Between East 85th to Remsen, cars drive there at, believe it or not, 60, 75, 80 miles per hour.
Thank you. Thank you.
Too many times we have to bury our kids and our people are dying.
I hear you. Thank you.
We need to do something about this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you for raising it. You know, I'm sure, about what we're trying to do with Vision Zero, because very much exactly because of what you're saying. There's been a history all over this city of people getting away with speeding, and when we started Vision Zero, we said we want to end that era once and for all. So we've used a whole lot of different approaches. One that's been in the news a lot lately is the speed cameras around the schools. And I want to remind everyone that issue is still unresolved. The state Senate still has not voted on the speed cameras around the schools, and schools opening in 2 weeks. So we got a real issue there. I want to urge everyone to reach out to your state senator, because this is one piece of the equation. What you talked about is some other things too, but to really achieve safety and stop speeding, we need those speed cameras around schools. The other point is enforcement. Now, I want to say NYPD has done a very energetic job around the city of going after speeding in ways that are far beyond what they used to. But the conversation I've had with Commissioner O'Neill is that we need to just keep going higher and higher up the scale, because there's still a lot of specific places where they're speeding. So we have DOT, we have NYPD. I want to help everyone to understand a clear vision for how we are going to enforce and reduce speeding on those streets.
So I will say with Seaview Avenue, the mayor mentioned earlier about some safety projects we've been doing in the community. So we're looking at a future project for Seaview Avenue in particular, and then we're going to look to see if we can slow down the speeding you were talking about.
Tell people just what it might look like that would reduce speeding.
Yeah, so we're it would be maybe some lane reductions or other things we can do to get the cars to slow down on that road. So we're looking at some engineering solutions to slow them down, and we'll talk to you later about some of the other roads, because some of the minor roads, there may be speed humps or other things we can do. Avenue J, okay.
And
Hold on, and please just follow up after on specifics, because again, speed bumps, other things could be part of the solution. Go ahead, Chief.
And it should be noted, since the mayor's Vision Zero inception, fatalities are down. They're currently down, vehicular fatalities are down in this part of Brooklyn. That's an unfortunate incident you spoke about. What the commanding officers are doing in Brooklyn South are training more people in a technique called LiDAR enforcement. It measures the speed of the vehicle. We have more summonses issued, and we're getting more people trained, so that's going to help the situation.
But can we also make sure, Chief, that if there's specific places that are problem locations, some presence might really help? In other words, more PD enforcement so that the word spreads that if you're speeding in that area, there's more chance that you're going to pay the consequences.
That'll definitely be done, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So we're traveling around. The young lady in the back. Yes. You're the youngest lady available.
That's rare. Hi, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for making homelessness a major priority in your administration. And I'm a formerly homeless New Yorker, but I was just one of 62,000.
Wait, keep the microphone.
I was just one of 62,000 homeless men, women, and children in the city, 23,000 of which are children. Your affordable housing plan has the potential to make a big dent in reducing homelessness. However, as it stands currently, the plan's not set up to do so. Will you commit at least 10% of the units in your affordable housing plan to homeless New Yorkers, with 24,000 of those units to be created from new construction?
Thank you for the question. I appreciate you have done your research. Thank you. But also, let's take a moment to appreciate that anyone who, I always say homelessness is sort of a there but for the grace of God go I situation. A lot of people, hardworking people, found themselves homeless because of the price of housing and because they lost a job, whatever it might be. But I think it's good to celebrate when someone was homeless and now is back on their feet. So congratulations to you. The answer to the question is, I'm not going to say a yes to that specific one. I want to tell you why. We do create a certain amount of new affordable housing that's aimed at folks who are homeless. But the essence of the affordable housing plan, of course, is for any and all New Yorkers who need affordable housing. But that being said, we have gotten, it's upwards of 90,000 people who were in shelter over the last 4 years to long-term housing out of shelter. So we've been able to get a pretty steady supply. And we've also been able to stop a lot of people from going into shelter to begin with by providing a rental subsidy or anything else, or stopping an eviction illegally. So there's a lot of resources that are going to make sure that someone either does not become homeless or goes from homelessness to some kind of other affordable housing. That, to me, I think the numbers are pretty strong right now. I think there is a misunderstanding, and I don't blame people for it. Everyone comes up to me and says, if you just build enough affordable housing, we wouldn't have a homelessness problem. Unfortunately, it's not as, and I don't blame people for saying it, but it's not as simple as that. We have people all over the city struggling to make ends meet. A huge percentage of New Yorkers paying over 50% of their income in rent. So what we're trying to do with the affordable housing plan is get more and more people a chance to get to stability and never get close to homelessness. We are not just trying to respond to homelessness, we're trying to prevent it profoundly by constantly intensifying the supply of affordable housing. People fall into homelessness for a lot of reasons. Some of them, not most anymore, but some of them because of a mental health challenge or substance abuse challenge. That's a separate initiative. 15,000 apartments are being created for people who not only need affordable housing, but need counseling and other support. That's called supportive housing. So when we add up all the pieces, I think what I'd say is we got a lot of options that we can use to address homelessness, but the affordable housing plan is trying to do something even bigger than that and reach hundreds of thousands of people who need affordable housing as well and who we hope will never be homeless. Thank you very much.
Gentleman in the blue hat.
Wait, everyone, you're going to get a microphone.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you for coming to this side of Brooklyn. Gentrification is running wild in Brooklyn thanks to your administration. You are a Brooklynite. Where is the infrastructure backup to support this additional influx of people?
Okay. What's your name, sir?
Johnny Arcentalis.
Johnny? Did you hit Johnny? Johnny, I respect your question, but I'm going to contest your question from the beginning because a town hall meeting is a chance to shed some light. I did not invent gentrification, I assure you, okay? We are in a free market economy. You could like it or not like it, that's its own discussion. But in a free market economy, gentrification is happening. If the government does X, Y, or Z, there's still going to be gentrification in a city that has gotten safer, in a city that has a huge number of jobs, that's one of the most appealing places on earth for people to live right now. That's the underpinning reality of gentrification. It's been going on for 20 years or more. So what I want to be clear about is the question is not does it exist, it's what can we do to lessen the negative impact. And that's why I have pursued a policy of building a whole lot of affordable housing, investing in stopping evictions, investing in public housing, a whole host of things, obviously trying to raise wage levels and raise benefits. We've got, finally, the $15 minimum wage in the state. It took a long fight, but we got it done. We've got paid sick leave. We've got things that help people to afford to live here better. Those are the ways to address gentrification. Some people have said to me, where some places we've done a rezoning, for example, they think if we don't do the rezoning, that will stop gentrification. I don't believe that, because I can tell you here in Brooklyn, go to Bed-Stuy, go to Bushwick, there was no rezoning. The market did that. That was not because of government action, but the government can create some limits and create some counterbalance and some affordable housing by stepping in, and that's what we've tried to do. So it's a far from perfect situation, but I do believe we're going to create a whole lot more affordable housing. I do believe we're going to create a whole lot more jobs for working people and better wages and better benefits, and that's the way to keep a balance in this city.
Thank you. The gentleman in the back. Oops.
Blessed love, community. Blessed love, mayor. Blessed love, our council member. I hold up the U.S. Constitution, and I'm asking our mayor, as the executive of the City of New York Police Department, to supply every officer, because they are not the problem, with a copy of the Constitution. And I am requesting the City of New York to commemorate the 400 years of our arrival, which is 1619 till 2019 in Virginia. And I'm also asking the mayor personally to address the issue since 2010 of the City of New York capturing the iris, the pupil, stamping, capturing, tagging any person who is arrested and go through the bookings.
Okay.
I felt like a slave, Your Honor. I'm going to finish to say this. The 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution did not end slavery. And predominantly, my community looks like me. That's why I am able to speak. And I'm in a Hebrew center. Genesis 15:13 speak of one set of people going through slavery for 400 years. Next year is our year.
Yeah.
Next year is the year for I and I.
Okay,
so I'm asking you, my mayor, because you're going to be my governor. I need you to be my governor.
You're very kind, but this is not for speeches. This is for people raising concerns.
This is not a speech.
So let me
I
come
just
back.
need the Constitution to be upheld, except for the 13th Amendment, slavery clause.
Thank you. So,
okay,
definitely, wait, to answer the point, definitely the commemoration of the 400 years, I agree very, very much, not only in New York, but in the whole country, is a time for us to figure out some things we have to address that we have not addressed. So I agree 100% with that commemoration. I will part company on one thing. I think our officers are being trained more and more in how to understand how to respect and work with communities. The person who needs to read the Constitution is President Donald Trump, in my view. So,
okay. Lady.
Go ahead.
Yes.
We're coming around. We'll be coming around.
We're coming around the mountain.
Good evening, Mayor de Blasio.
Okay, can you hear me?
I'm here to talk about You know, everybody's talking about housing and everything like that. And I'm here because I have a nonprofit for HPV. Caleb's Feet Foundation, you have given me letters. Now, I want to know, because I have reached out to our local politicians, my vision for 2019 is to have an open public forum so that people of color that are mostly in this room, but across Brooklyn, can understand why it's important to have our children vaccinated, because we only see advertisements for the vaccination 3 times a year, in August, in January, and then maybe in June, just before, as the time for physicals. Now, I already have a vision and I have a plan, but when I reach out to my local politicians, this issue doesn't seem important to them.
Okay.
Our children are our future, and people that are not educated about why their children need to be vaccinated, and it not only affects children, but we as adults also have that virus. It's just a matter of them getting the literature so that they can understand and be well informed.
Thank you. That's a very, very good point, and I appreciate you raising it. This is a good example of kinds of things that come up at a town hall meeting and help us to do our jobs better. There's clearly a certain amount of debate and even some confusion out there on the question of vaccination. And I think you're making a very good point, which is that's a time when that's going on. It's a time for more dialogue, more information. So I don't know if Department of Health is here tonight. Hey, Belkin, you're taking your time. Yet when you hear health, you're supposed to move. When you heard, I got a thing with my own agencies. I teach, before every meeting, I try and get them to think, if you hear your subject matter, come up. So do we go out in the communities and talk about the vaccination issue? Because I think there's a lot of concern and some misinformation. And if we're not doing it, is this something we could start to implement?
No, absolutely, and I'm so glad you brought this up. This community, and you probably know, has about half the rates of HPV vaccines than the rest of the city. And so we're looking for partners and voices in the community to work with, so we're going to connect and spread the word.
But on that, let me take it one more step, because I think it's a very smart suggestion. But do we have community forums as a general rule in areas where we're not seeing sufficient levels of vaccination? Is that a tool that maybe we need to do more?
I think we definitely have to look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like it. Let's follow up and see if we can make this an approach we use, because I think a lot of parents would really benefit from the information. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, lady who's waving strenuously.
Coming all around, coming around.
Can't do everybody at the same time.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Hello.
Good evening, Councilman, and good evening, everyone. I see there's a lot of resources for the seniors here at this event, but how are you training the workers at APS to deal with the seniors?
At Adult Protective Services?
Yes.
How do we train them? HRA, how do we train, or in this case, Social Services, Commissioner Banks? Simple question, how do we train them to be able to address the needs of seniors?
Thanks for the question. Just so that everybody knows, Adult Protective Services is a particular service where we're called in to help seniors or others who can't care for themselves and have nobody available to care for them. So it's not all seniors that need this particular service. And there's a very intensive type of service, type of training that we do, because it's a very hard judgment to make. And we use psychiatrists and professionals to be able to make that judgment when someone's unable to care for themselves. And sometimes there's disputes. Someone says, yeah, I can take care of myself. And we say, hey, they need real help. And that's the training, where the training comes in.
No, you mean how do you train the staff and how to deal with the situation?
Yeah, same issue. But let me, I sense in your question that there must have been some problem.
Situation. Would you follow up with him directly? Good, thank you.
Okay, moving around. So on this side, gentlemen.
That's right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Good evening, Councilman Mizell and constituents of CB 18. Now, you mentioned that one of the pressing issues was housing.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned what you did for NYCHA. You mentioned affordable housing. But the most gravest issue in Canarsie is foreclosures. For the second year in a row, we have the highest foreclosure rate. That's combined Canarsie and Flatlands. I heard, oh, wow, nobody knew that, right? Yeah, well, we do. So I'd like to know, who's calling me? I'd like to know, well, before I say I'd like to know what you're doing, recently, Councilman Danique Miller, he was able to do a foreclosure buyback program in Queens, and it was successful. They were able to salvage about 300 homes, but prior to that program, they had the highest foreclosure rate. They do not anymore. I'm guessing because of that program. Canarsie and Flatlands has the highest foreclosure rate 2 years running. That program was funded by the feds and some from City Council. Is there anything in place to save the homes in Canarsie? We have 36,000 housing units in Canarsie.
Okay, thank you for the question. So I want to be straightforward with you. I am familiar with there was a longstanding challenge in Southeast Queens, and I know Councilman Miller did work on a specific set of approaches. I have not heard that 300 number before. I hope it's true, because that would mean 300 families got helped. It's just that's a higher number than I've ever heard before. But whatever the truth is, we're ready to work with anyone to try and figure out a solution. We do not have, I want to be straightforward, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know if HPD is here, okay? When you hear housing commissioner, what? Okay, we got timeout. Hold on, I got to talk to my people for a minute. When you hear your subject matter, come forward. If you're not sure and you think it might be your subject matter, come forward. I'm going to give special credit where I saw Donna Corrado come forward on the senior thing, even though it turned out to be Steve Banks. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Okay, now, Commissioner, let's see if you can redeem HPD. I don't know of a citywide anti-foreclosure strategy. I don't know of one, or ways that we see specific areas that start to have the problem, how we can address it. There are some federal supports, I know that. But what can we do if this is a growing problem in this community?
I am not personally familiar either, but what I'd like to do is get together after or right now, get your information, and I will find out more about our programs and any other programs that might be available to deal with kind of clusters of foreclosures.
And also, sir, I just want to say, you may, as often happens at town hall meetings, you may know things that the government doesn't yet realize, which is good. That's why we have town hall meetings. So it would also be helpful with the Deputy Commissioner if you could let them know if you have some numbers or some sense of who, so we could talk to people directly and hear what their situation is. If this is a problem that's starting to emerge that we haven't caught, we need to understand the magnitude of it. So if you'd help us with that, we'll see what we can do to address it. Thank you.
Okay, let me just also point out that every year, my office, as well as other councilmen around the city, do outreach with the Department of Finance and involving lien sale possibilities, people not paying their water bills or their real estate bills. We have an event every year where people come to meet with the officials so they could arrange programs to help them manage their bills. So that saves a lot of people from lien sales, which ultimately can lead to the loss of their homes. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon.
Canarsie is dirty, and it's getting dirtier. It's getting dirty. So we need some help with all of it.
Yeah, wait, what happened to the microphone? We do need a microphone, because people can't hear you.
Canarsie is dirty, and it's getting dirtier. The streets are filthy.
Give me some examples where you see the biggest problem.
Coming from the L-Train station all the way down to Seaview Avenue. From Seaview Avenue all the way down to 108. It's dirty. I don't even like walking on Rockaway Parkway near the train station. There's garbage on every corner. It is filthy. The stores are not cleaning up. There's garbage in front of the stores. They're not being held accountable.
Okay.
It is filthy.
I'm sorry to hear it, but I'm glad you're giving us a very specific sense of what's happening. Commissioner, what can we say about this? And I will say at the outset, we've tried to be respectful of stores, but if they're not doing their job, we may have to lean in more heavily. What do you say?
So, I mean, we will definitely take all of your information to make sure we have the right locations. We have been doing enforcement there. We will do more enforcement. We have been writing against the stores with discretion. but we will make sure they're held accountable. We also are getting higher fines for littering starting in September and illegal dumping, which we think will have a deterrent effect. Thank you to the council. And so we will keep in touch to make sure that we're seeing progress. We also have additional cleaning resources in this community with the new budget that started July 1st. But I do not like to see anyone suffering when someone's not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
So let's have the commissioner do personal follow-up with you. So she will go and follow up with her team, but I want you, Commissioner, on those specific streets. Let's see what your folks come back with, and then if you would speak to, what's your first name? Jeanette. If you would follow up with Jeanette personally, I'd appreciate it.
By the way, in addition to that, sanitation is now picking up from the trash baskets at least twice a week now, because additional council money that has gone into the 46th district. Oh,
we got a different update. Go ahead. How many?
No. You're getting 7-day-a-week collection.
Where?
Along Rockaway and the major avenues in all of your district between your money and your money.
7 day a week.
7 day a week. Oh, and he bought nice new baskets for you as well. So.
Wait, say that again?
And he bought new baskets.
Whoa.
He bought
Commissioner.
new baskets and new services starting. So you did Sunday and holiday.
But tell people where. Tell people where.
So it's on Rockaway and I think Avenue U. There are a bunch of your commercial districts. All the major commercial areas are getting 7-day-a-week service.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner.
okay. So we're just moving around in this section. I'm just moving around, sir. Just in the back.
Coming around. We're coming around. Don't worry.
Good evening. As beautiful as our streets are, they're lined with trees which are overgrown and in need of pruning.
Where's
trimming. 57th Street.
57th Street?
Yes, between H and I. That's just one of those.
Right.
And numerous calls have been made to 311. Nothing so far.
Okay. So the truth, I'll begin, is pruning is something we have put money into. We've actually put more money into with the city council, but I cannot lie to you again. We do not have enough tree pruning money for the whole city, so we try and be selective about where the need is greatest. But if this is a particular sensitive area, we need to go look at it. So, Commissioner, are you familiar with it, or are you going to have people go look at it right away?
We'll have people look at it so everybody knows we're on a 7-year pruning cycle. It used to be 10 years, so they travel throughout the city, hit an entire area which is most efficient, but it's on a 7-year cycle. If there is a danger, call 311, but I'll follow up with you so we can look
He'll follow up with you
specifically
directly
at your location.
and assess it. Thank you.
Lady in the back.
Good evening. I wrote down what I was going to ask, so just give me 1 second, please. Okay. Outside of closing Rikers Island, what is your exact plan of action pertaining to keeping correction officers, civilian staff, and inmates safe today? Because right now, I don't believe that anyone is safe and people are getting severely hurt.
Thank you. So, look, I want to I know there may be folks in the room who are correction officers. Yep. So I want to speak with you directly about what we're trying to do, and I want to start by saying there's no question we have to do more, but here's what we're trying to do. First, we had to hire a lot more people, because when we came in, it was abundantly clear there just was not enough staff. So I asked people today to give me an update on how many correction officers were hired since this administration began. And it is, at this point, when we came in, it was about 8,000. It's now 11,000. So 3,000 more officers, which I think is crucial to safety, to have the strength in numbers, to have officers have the support they need. We will, I'm very comfortable saying this, we will keep hiring more if that's what it takes to achieve safety. It's not the only factor, but if we need more personnel, we're going to keep hiring more personnel. We've had the biggest graduating class in the history of the correction department recently. We've had to use a huge amount of overtime, and we'll keep doing that if we need to, but I think the most important solution is to hire more officers till we get to the level of safety that everyone deserves. So that's point one. Point two, officers are getting more training than they've gotten in the past. We need to keep doing more of that, because that's also crucial to everyone's safety. When we see a problem, we are now going to do a few things. There's more emergency service unit elements that are being moved around than there were in the past. We're going to keep doing that as a preventative measure. We're going to, in any situation where there is an incident, send additional officers, again, for that strength in numbers reality. We're going to start separating gang members from the same gang, so they are not concentrated in specific units, because we understand that can be a danger to officers. We're going to start to see more punishments for folks who do not obey the legitimate rules. That is not, I'll say it anytime, anywhere, that does not mean reversing course on punitive segregation. I want to be very straightforward on that. We do not believe that is ultimately a productive strategy, but we think there are a lot of other carrots and sticks that can be used. Also, I want to give credit to the District Attorney of the Bronx. And these, God forbid there's ever any of these incidents, but these individuals, these inmates, whoever assaults an officer is now being rearrested and charged with serious additional crimes, and they're going to be doing a lot more time. We know that was not the case in the recent past. It is the case now. That's a beginning, but we cannot stop until our officers are safe. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
Let me also introduce Frida Manos from Congressman Jeffries' office. She's here. And we also have my colleague, Assemblywoman Jamie Williams is here.
Sure.
Jamie, you want to say something?
Or do you want to get warmed up? All right, when you're ready, we will turn to you.
Okay. In this aisle, second row in the back. Sir, there are a lot of people raising their hands.
We're going to keep going around and around. Just let us keep going around and around.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Call on whoever you want to call on. We are going to keep, everyone, listen, I've been to 57 of these. We go around and around and around, and we take lots and lots of questions. We're going to keep going. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, hello. I would like to ask, is there a limited number of seats for people with disabilities in the DOE? Because I saw an article this week that there was a limited amount of seats for people with disabilities.
When you say seats, you mean for children?
I mean...
When you said DOE?
Yeah, I mean all people with disabilities.
But you're saying Department of Education?
Yeah.
So you're talking about young people who have disabilities and need special services and education, or you're talking about something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
People with
So our newly minted First Deputy Chancellor, and by the way, it's her first official town hall meeting as First Deputy Chancellor of our city, Cheryl Watson-Harris.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to be able to meet with you afterwards to understand a little bit more about the specific concern. Is that fair?
But I think the broad answer is we make special education services available to all children, whether we can accommodate them in our schools or whether we have to find a placement outside our schools. Our job is to serve all of them.
Yes.
Okay?
But I would love to learn a little
She'll
bit more
follow up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. In the back, you got your hand highest.
Thank you, Mayor, for coming to speak with us today.
Yep.
So I heard a lot of good things about jobs and housing numbers and so on. What is the city doing regarding jobs for people with disabilities, high-qualified candidates? The reason why I'm asking is because I am a high-qualified candidate and I have a disability, yet being visually impaired, the city's website is very difficult to navigate and manage for applying.
Okay, I appreciate that very much. So tell me if you can speak to that.
I can speak.
And introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Martha Jackson. I'm the Assistant Commissioner, the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. I'm also the Director of the new NYC at Work Employment Program for New Yorkers with Disabilities. I would love to talk to you about it. We have a very robust program We are in our first year. We've already connected a few hundred people to jobs, and I'd love to talk to you about it. If anyone else here is interested, it's NYC at Work. You can go right onto the MOPD website, NYC at Work, and it is a person-centered approach.
But
So-
on the question also of folks who may be visually impaired, what's the option?
Same thing. We serve all people with disabilities, connecting you to the right job that you're looking
Can
for.
they get that support through 311, or what should they do?
You can call 311, but you can also ask for the mayor's office and ask for anybody at NYC at Work. We work right out of the mayor's office for people with disabilities.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going back to this side.
Okay, everybody, hold on.
You just have to be patient.
Let me address this. If we're going to have a productive meeting, again, I've done 57 of these, every kind of community. We're going to keep going around. I guarantee it. We're going to go to at least 80-45, but the more we can just keep going, the more people are going to reach. We're not going to reach everyone. I'm telling you tonight, there's no way to reach everyone. Just let us do our job with you so we can get you answers. Go. Who do you choose?
Okay, lady in the back. Yes, you.
Hey, all right. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Ms. McFadden. I'm your resident leader at Sheepshead Bay Nostrand. I want to thank Councilman Maisel. I want to thank Congresswoman Yvette Clark, District Leader Lou Fittler.
Okay, we appreciate the thanks, but what's your concern?
Yes, but I just want to be optimistic, Mayor, because you met me in
Thank
Sheepshead
you.
Bay when you moved the scaffolding.
Thank
I just
you.
want to tell you, when I moved to Sheepshead Bay 10 years ago, I didn't feel safe. I want to let you know your officers from PSA 1, from 61st is doing a phenomenal job. If I had it in my will, all of them would get a bonus and a raise.
All right.
Hey.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
You're going to get a ride home tonight.
You must be a doctor.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
I would like to know how we could get the Parks Department to be more responsible in this area. I have been a member of this community for 52 years. I raised my children here. And Canarsie Park had 4 swings and 2 of them were broken. They did a beautiful job of fixing it after Sandy. If you were to come here on a Sunday and see what's going on, first of all, it's my understanding that in order to have something over 20 people, you're supposed to have a permit. These people are having venues, 250 to 300 people. They're putting up tents. I'm happy because they're all family people.
Right.
But there's no police presence in the park. They drink liquor.
Okay.
They on the front of the
Which
park.
park? Which park?
Canarsie Park, across
Okay.
the street. They have a thing on the front of the park saying no barbecues, no this, no that. When I brought it up at a community meeting, the police department said that the Parks Department has discretion what they want to enforce. The police department on Seaview Avenue, if you pass here, the mediums in the middle of the streets, 2 cars parking, the trees are all bent over, double and triple park. It's so dangerous.
I got you. So this is both Parks Department and Police Department. And I want to say, on the discretion point, of course we're New Yorkers, we recognize that we have to have some flexibility. But what you're describing, I appreciate, is things that really might be interfering with the quality of life, and also something very big. If there isn't a police presence, that could be a problem if there's a really big event. So how are we doing that? How are we addressing this?
We'll have to work with NYPD and Parks Enforcement Patrol and start to take a look very carefully at Canarsie Park to educate some of the park users. Not everyone knows that you need a permit for 20 people or more, and so that is something that we'll have to start an education campaign to ensure that people are aware of that specific
But what
role.
about if it happens and someone didn't know, but it's a really big gathering, we do need police presence or Parks Enforcement's presence. So let's hear from PD on that.
Hello, ma'am. Captain Anderson. Actually, I remember you from a meeting a couple of months ago, and you brought the same issue up. And I'm happy to tell you that I've assigned 2 officers to the park throughout the whole summer. There were Officers Toussaint and Officers Barnwell. And they were off on Sunday and Monday. And on Sundays and Mondays, my NCOs, Officers Konchelik and Officer Woods, have been in the park. There has been issues where there was, I would say, big gatherings in the park, but we have had a presence. We do show discretion when it comes to someone drinking in the park because a lot of it is families. But we absolutely do the best that we can to keep the park safe.
Okay.
There was one police car on Seaview Avenue with a female.
Okay. He'll follow up. Okay, hold on. We do need to get to as many people as possible, so I need you to do some deeper follow-up directly with her. You going to do that? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, then this side, lady over here. Yes?
DHS. That's it. Thank you.
I'm just saying.
Thank you. Thank you. You are helping me create some discipline with this group over here.
Yeah, this
Thank
gonna be
you.
with DHS.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So in answering the question that the young lady had about your commitment about more housing and construction, you said there are options. Is one of these options building more shelters? Because that's what I heard. And I just want to say, going into shelter, I'm formerly shelter resident, but going into shelter is traumatizing,
Yes.
and especially for the 23,000 children. If you could implement in your plan, your housing plan, at least 24,000 units of new construction, that would create an opportunity to thwart generational homelessness. Because if you build more homeless shelters, more people with children go in. And then those children are going to see the shelter system, and they're going to stay there just like welfare. It's generational welfare recipients. It'll be generational homelessness. So if you took that money that you plan to use to build more shelters and build more homes, we really wouldn't have that problem.
I appreciate the logic. I really do. And first of all, congratulations to you also for getting back on your feet, and thank you for being here. But I want to, again, what I want to do at a meeting like this is help people understand what we're really trying to do. And I'll start and Steve jump in. If it was simple as just build new affordable housing and there's no such thing as homelessness, again, that would be a wonderful situation. It's not, that's not how it works for us. We have built and built and built. We're in the middle of building 120,000 apartments new, and we're subsidizing 180,000 additional ones, grand total 300,000 apartments, and we can't even keep up with the demand. So the problem with homelessness, again, some of it has nothing to do with the availability of affordable housing because it's mental health and other things, but some of it is the way it goes. You just can't say, take that money and create affordable housing and there's still not going to be a need for shelter. We just found that from real life experience. We are building new shelter. Why? Because we want to get out of the cheap substandard housing that a lot of homeless folks were sent to. We want to get out of the hotels that cost an arm and a leg, and a lot of communities are concerned about those for good reason. So we're building new shelters. I announced it a year and a half ago. Once and for all, we're going to have a set of shelters around the city. But the good news is, if we continue to reduce the homeless population, that's our goal, those shelters can be converted to permanent housing. So it's not like it's an end unto itself. It is we hope, a temporary situation. One day, we'd like to see that shelter system be a lot smaller. But that's going to take building a huge amount of affordable housing to finally create the balance we need in this city.
I would just add to that, first of all, congratulations for being able to be out of the system. We talk a lot about building shelters. It's important to remember the plan that the mayor laid out. It has two parts to it. One is closing lots of shelters and replacing them with borough-based shelters. So since the plan has been announced, we've gotten out of 155 shelter locations. That's 155 places we're no longer in. That's the part of the plan that talked about closing places. And we've got 20 new shelters sited. So you can see we're trying to shrink the footprint of the shelter system by getting out of places that the city never should have been in. And the mayor's emphasizing every time we talk, close the things that should never have been open. That's how we got off 155 places. Open better borough-based shelters so kids can be close to their schools and so forth.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. I guess if you stand up, you got to be called.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Mayor, I know we discussed the safer jails, but I want to discuss the unsafe work environment. Like the conditions inside of these jails are inhumane. There are cockroaches, water bugs, mice, rats, leaking ceilings over your head while you're on post. I'm a former correction officer. My husband is a correction officer currently. And there's stories that he told me that a mouse jumped on his leg while he was on post. Now, this is disgusting. And also with the down cells, inmates are able to pop out of their cells while you're on post when they're supposed to be locked in because the cells don't work. The toilets are down. They don't flush. So the toilets are just sitting with feces in them. And I feel like it's just disgusting. And what are the measures that's being taken to make this safer? And also that the temperature inside of these jails, and we have to walk around with vests on.
Yeah.
And it's over 100 degrees. You can see the steam coming off of the walls. It's disgusting.
Look, I'm the first to say, first of all, thank you for speaking up. I'm the first to say that beyond the whole movement that's been created to stop mass incarceration, and one of the things that's happened, which is a very good thing, is a recognition that this country went way astray and created a mass incarceration reality that was unfair to everyone, to the officers, to a lot of people who got sent away for very, very small infractions. So we're finally fixing something that was broken for a long time. Right now we have, in the last 4 years, we have 28% fewer inmates than we had just 4 years ago. That is good for everyone. Fewer people in incarceration means the officers have fewer people to deal with. It's good all around. But the real answer is to entirely fix our jail system. So when we're getting off of Rikers Island, we are creating brand new jail facilities in the 4 bigger boroughs. And that's going to mean state-of-the-art. It's going to mean facilities that are built to ensure officer safety, that are built to support rehabilitation, that are clean, that are modern. Literally every one, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, is going to have a new facility. Rikers will be closed. Eventually, the barge will be closed as well. So the entire system will be newly built. Now, we are saying we can do that over the next 8 years or so, but we could even do it faster if the state of New York would pass bail reform and speedy trial reform. That would shave probably a couple more years off the process and allow us to go even faster. And I'm hoping that we can get that done next year up in Albany. But what I can say to you is, in the meantime, we have put in money to try and improve the facilities. As I said, a lot more officers to support their safety. But the real answer is reduce the number of inmates in our city while building brand new jails. That's our plan.
Okay, we have a representative here from Senator Prasad's office, Veronica, and I think Assemblywoman Williams is ready to speak.
Let's get you a microphone, Assembly member.
Thank you. First of all, just to follow up on what you were saying, you called out a few boroughs, but I didn't hear Staten Island mentioned in one
Correct.
of those.
You did not.
So is Staten Island getting one of the jails as
No,
well?
I've been explicit, and the City Council's been explicit. Staten Island has a very small element of inmate population. We do not want to create a new jail for such a small population.
Okay.
It's just, that's what we're doing.
Okay, I'll keep my note on that one, but everyone heard that.
Yeah.
But anyways, one of the biggest concerns here in Mill Basin and probably in Canarsie as well is a few months ago, the attempt to relocate the notorious party boats to the Mill Basin waterways. As you are aware, after Superstorm Sandy, there has been a resurgence of our aquatic and marine life, and bringing these party boats here to our waterways is really going to damage our fisheries and other aquatic life that is now starting to strive back. And this is very imperative because even bringing in a ferry, and I know you guys spoke about the ferry before, we have to take into consideration our wetlands, the tidal areas, Marine Park, Mill Basin, Bergen Beach, Sheepshead Bay, Garrettson Beach, and Canarsie, right? So we have to be very mindful of those things happening. And, you know, there are so many issues, but I pride myself of representing this great district, which is the 59th Assembly District, and all the waterways that make up the 59th Assembly District. So I want to see that there is more involvement and there is better efforts to protect our waterways. And it's just not the way to go with party boats because there are other areas that's having an issue. A few weeks ago, there was a few hundreds of gallons of raw sewage that was actually dumped into the water out in Sunset Park. And that's really, really unacceptable for us because I myself, I love to fish, so I'm always in the Jamaica Bay fishing for fish that I take home and then cook as well for my family. And there are many other people that do the same, fishing as a hobby. And Canarsie Pier, there is hundreds of people that utilize the Canarsie Pier for recreational purposes with their family and for their loved ones. So when we're taking things into consideration, please, we really have to study the underlying factors. And I know sometimes these factors can be very small and be minuscule, but think about it.
Yes.
Our aquatic life is well and thriving, and also, not to mention, after Superstorm Sandy, right now we're replanting oysters in our Paddygat Basin. And the oysters, they're used as a filtration to clean the water, and that is important for us because we will see another storm. So we need to do more where our waterways are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Assembly Member. The Assembly Member, so first of all, I think you're raising a very important point overall. I know you are very concerned about the environment, and you're thinking about how all these pieces connect to keeping the waterways clean for the long term. When we look at the question of the ferries, we do have to take environmental issues into consideration. Anytime we're looking at a potential docking facility, we absolutely have to consider environmental impact. If there's a negative environmental impact, that might be a reason why we do not have a ferry stop there. But also the point you raised about if a location that might work for a ferry stop has another use right now that's important to the community, we have to make a tough choice of what's more important, and that's something we'll consult with you and the councilman on for sure before any decision is made. On the party boats, I just want to emphasize, you know, they are not there now, as you know, but the goal is the Gateway Marina, which we think is a facility that does work from the point of view of a good facility for that kind of service. On the environmental question, and I know James Katz is here from EDC, I assume we're going to look at those issues before implementation. I haven't heard anything about any environmental issues around Gateway Marina, because obviously it's a marina, but I don't know if you have anything to say on that.
No, I mean, we have heard the community and we've heard the council member loud and clear on the party boat question. We will talk to the Gateway Marina about that as a site, as our friend said at the beginning, it's a federal facility.
And the marina also, the question of the marina is any environmental issues would be consistent. Anything we looked at environmentally would be consistent with the current use as a marina. So that's something, that's a reason why we like it as a location, because it's a place that's already handling boats.
Okay, this section. Yes, second row.
Hello, my question is, what is your administration doing towards preventing information from ID NYC, keeping it from the federal government?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, look, the bottom line is ID NYC has been, I'm very proud of this, a huge success. Well over 1 million people signed up. There was a court case, as you may know, and at the conclusion of that, we were in a position to destroy all the old information that we had taken from people, so that is not reachable by the federal government anymore. And then from the beginning of 2017, we instituted a new protocol where we do not keep sensitive information from applicants. So there is no information at this point available to the federal government that might cause any challenge, any problem for folks who are ID NYC holders.
Okay, in this section. In the back. Yes. Can't call on everybody at the same time. You have to be patient.
Sorry. Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, and thank you, Mazel, and everyone that's here that's filling this room. I met you at a few other town hall meetings before, and you did address some of your staff to address the situation that I was mostly concerned about. But I do feel that I do need them again to address it. And I just want to say this too, that how can we beautify our neighborhoods that people that have dogs that's not really picking up behind their dogs? When I go to work in the morning, I go to school and stuff, I could see it then. But when I come home, I have to try to remember where it was at so I don't step in it. So if they love their dogs, what are they doing about that? And one more question. I understand that NYCHA, that you're not supposed to
Hold on. You used your one limit, because we're trying to keep everyone to one. And we will have one of the members of the staff follow up with you on your issue. But I want to say, on the question of dogs, I'm hearing this more and more. I'm glad you raised it.
Okay.
I'm appalled at what I see in a lot of neighborhoods. And I think we may need to take a page from the past. You remember in Ed Koch's administration, they started a real crackdown with real consequences. I'll be talking to the city council about whether it's time to do that again. Oh, Frank Sedio? Where's Frank Sedio? He's right there. I'm like, you look great, Frank Sedio.
Pretty good yourself. Have you here? No?
That's Frank Sedio, and blue is his color, everybody.
Okay, now, well, all right, we're back to this section. Yes, sir. Be patient.
Your Honor, thank you for coming. My name is Sal Calise. I represent Bergen Beach. I got great police chief here, Chief Romero. Where's Mrs. Workman? Does a great job. Sanitation's doing a great job. Bergen Beach, we've never had a mayor visit Bergen Beach. Frank Sedio's neighborhood. All right, but the residents...
We just made history.
The residents of Bergen Beach have asked me to invite you to Bergen Beach. So I don't know who I got to talk to over here.
I would be happy to. You let me know what you'd like me to come to, and I would be happy to come to Bergen Beach.
Anytime you want. You're more
All right,
important. You tell me.
We got a plan.
Okay.
All right.
So that was just an invitation. Yes.
Hello. My question is regarding the street signs. There are many around Brooklyn that are bent or broken. They're very difficult to see at night, especially when it's raining. So I need to know if there are any plans to improve or change so that we could read the street signs, especially at night.
Amen. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I can attest to the fact that that is true. And I agree with you, that especially people need to be able to see where they are. What are we doing about it, Keith?
Yeah, those are the older signs. We have newer signs that are more reflective so that you can see them better at night. So I'll get the locations that you're talking about, and we'll see if we can change them out so they're more visible for you.
So, well, let me add to that. So you're the borough commissioner.
Correct, yes.
So you'll exchange information. Anytime you see someplace that does not have a proper sign, you will let him know, and it will be his obligation to figure out a solution. Okay?
I would want to point out, though, that the 46th Council District, Mill Basin and Marine Park and Canarsie have gotten mostly new street signs over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. There are very, very few signs that are not readable. There may be a few, but most of them have been replaced. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor de Blasio, we thank you. You're doing a good job. You're working very hard to address the city's problem.
Thank you.
And we just want to say thank you. But I do have a question regarding, I know that some gentlemen here spoke about speeding in our street and roads. I would like to know, how can we address, I know that a traffic light is not always the answer to safety.
Right.
But we have a crossroad of 85th and L where we have a lot of accident has occurred there. So we would like to know, how can we get this crossroad evaluated for a traffic light?
Well, we'll do it right now.
Absolutely. 85th and L. We'll take a look.
So we'll please get the commissioner's information at the end of the meeting, and he will personally make sure that it's evaluated to see if there should be a traffic light there.
Okay, you said you were in pain, so I...
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, sirs, your honors, and all of the...
Thank you. Go ahead.
Everybody. So my name is Sandra Shepard. I reside in Bayview Houses. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible because I got like 20 issues.
What's your number one issue?
Okay. Well, first of all, housing is one of them.
Wait, let me make your life better for everyone here. So everyone tell your number one issue is what we're asking everyone so we can get to the most people. So what's your number one issue?
No, the most important is they were talking about the hit and run and speeding. My daughter is 7 months pregnant, April 12th. She was in an Uber, and she was involved in a hit and run. My daughter went into labor, but she didn't deliver because she didn't dilate. They sent my daughter home. The officers responded from PSA 1, and it took them over an hour to respond. They wrote no report. My daughter was having a problem with her pregnancy the entire time. My grandbaby died May 22nd. Her umbilical cord was severed. My grandson was 6 pounds, 15 ounces, 18 inches long. Born sleeping. Housing. Someone is abusing and tampering with my housing account. They're saying that I didn't pay my rent. They're sending me threatening letters that I'm going to be put out and evicted.
let me interrupt. First of all, I'm very, very, very sorry about what happened to your daughter and the baby. You're saying that you felt the officers did not respond on a timely basis.
They didn't respond in a timely basis.
So what I want to do,
their reason for not responding was because they were at a vicious dog situation.
Okay. Let me have the inspector.
Captain. Thank you, though.
Okay, you'll be ready soon. Okay, Captain, I'd like you to speak to that. I'll say on the NYCHA issues. I'm going to have someone from NYCHA come over and see you personally, privately, because if it's something about your own account, we should not talk about it in front of everyone else. So NYCHA will come and talk to you directly.
But not only that, wait.
Okay, wait. We don't do multiple issues, ma'am. I'm sorry. NYCHA folks will come speak to you. On this,
the contractors working on my house. They infected my air conditioner.
Ma'am.
I've been in heat all summer. I had no air conditioner all summer.
Ma'am, listen. Everyone plays by the same rules here.
I
You're going to have someone from NYCHA come and help you directly. Okay. But on the question you raised about the police, which is a very serious question,
it's very
Captain, has this been looked into, or what can we do to look into? Because obviously this is a very tragic situation, and the response time is crucial here. So what can we do?
How you doing? It's Captain Kinsella, CEO of PSA 1. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, and I will actually look into the matter and make sure have an answer back to you in the near future.
So you'll follow up personally?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Personally.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Captain.
Okay, moving on this side. Gentleman in the purple hat, I think.
How you doing? Thank you, Mayor de Blasio, for coming. I'm a resident of Canarsie on East 91st Street between Avenue L&M. We have a school there, PS 115, and the cars be speeding up that block. We made a 301 complaint, and they said it's going to take a year study for us to possibly get a speed bump. Before a child actually gets hurt, can that be speeded up? And it's a school right on that block.
No, I appreciate that very, very much. And I want to say also, please help us on the speed cameras, because another piece of stopping speeding. I want just everyone to understand the magnitude of this. Where we put the speed cameras in by a school, speeding goes down 60%. So it really works, but we need help. We need everyone contact your state senator, let them know how important the speed cameras are. But on the speed bump, some streets can have them, some streets can't. For example, if buses have to use a street, or school buses, or any of that, they can't. Other streets can. But this is worth doing quickly, Commissioner.
Absolutely. We'll not take a year, so we're going to reach back out to you and get a quick answer to you.
Okay. Follow up with the Commissioner directly, okay?
Gentleman in the front.
The guy.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My parishioner, James Richmond, told me you're the man that gets things done. So bring our concern. I am from Grace Adventist Church.
Sir. There you go.
I'm from Grace Adventist Church. And this matter is with the finance department. That's correct. It's tax lien. About a month and a half ago, someone showed up after our service and told us that he is now the owner of our church parking lot. He said he bought the lot at tax lien sale, and we are no longer the owner. Of course, we're hoping...
Okay, so you're trying to see if that is true and what can be done about it if it is true?
Well, it is true, and we'd like to see if we can have some redress on that matter.
Okay, Finance Department. Oh, the sheriff is here. Okay, this is a moment of education. Does everyone know New York City has a sheriff? Okay. We literally have a sheriff, and the sheriff is in town. Sheriff?
All right, I'm Joe Facito. I'm the sheriff, as the mayor just said.
He's literally the sheriff in New York City. It's kind of cool.
This is Assistant Commissioner Stina Trainer, and there's two parts to your question. A lien sale doesn't mean that somebody bought your property. They just bought a lien on the property, and they have to do further legal action. So you don't have to move out and run out. In fact, there are actually methods to redeem your property after a lien sale. The second piece is if this is a form of deed fraud where somebody's trying to defraud you, the sheriff's office investigates that. So I'm going to come over and talk to you. I'm going to get your details, and we'll fill you in on what your standing is for your property, that where you sit as far as the lien sale and where you sit as if somebody's trying to victimize you.
If it is the former and there is a pathway to redeem it, who can, you from finance?
Yes.
Okay. So if it turns out it has been a lien sale, but you can recoup it, obviously there's something would have to happen there, you'll follow up with that too. Okay, so you have two individuals who are going to navigate it with you and get to a resolution.
And let me just have a PSA on that point that the sheriff mentioned about deed fraud. Brooklyn actually has the highest rates of deed fraud in the city of New York. If you register your home or property with finance, with your email or phone number, the second someone tries to make a change on your deed, we will text you, we will email you and reach out to prevent what you're saying you thought happened, which is that someone took your property unlawfully. Yeah. But any property you can register on our website, finance.nyc.gov.
You know, every year my office sends out about 900 letters alerting people that they are on the lien sale list. So if you didn't get a letter from us, I'm a little skeptical about what the legitimacy of that is, because we invite people to come down to meet with finance, basically to work out arrangements. So I'm really surprised that if you didn't get a letter, it sounds suspicious. Gentleman in the red hat.
See?
You know, I don't know. Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, it's on. Just go
You
ahead.
hear me? Hello, y'all hear me? I should do the Monica song now. I waited so long. No heat, no rent, no hot water, but no, I'm not going to do that. After waiting so long, I'm so sorry, sir. Mr. Brian Holman has taken care of the situation and your assistant. And we were just asking to facilitate 5 to 6 more workers in the Brook Island houses, which is one of the biggest. There's many people out there suffering and whatnot. My job is to take care of the deaf, the dumb, and the blind, and those who cannot speak for themselves, to take care of the wounded, those who are left behind. No tenant will be left behind in the Brook Island houses. We speak so diligently about all our other communities, East New York and everything else, but I don't hear nothing about the Brook Island houses. The Brook Island houses is here.
Okay, we got
and I'm
it.
asking you,
So he's following up with you.
Right. I'm asking you, Mayor, okay, after speaking to to your assistants, is that to please look into making sure that we have more workers to facilitate 30 buildings and 64 acres, because it's enough of the suffering of Brook Island houses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so, all right, so we have Brook Island, now we have Bayview.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good evening, Mayor. I'm a Canarsie resident for 63 years, all 63 at Bayview houses. I am their resident association president. So since I can't speak to you about the lights in Bayview and NYPD, I'm going to the NYPD. So there's only PSA 1, who does a phenomenal job. I'm on there. I'm a member of their community council executive board. They have only 2 NCOs to cover Glenwood houses, Bayview houses, and Brook Island houses. And these 3 developments, if you know anything about them, they are very humongous developments. So it really defeats the purpose of a successful NCO program when you only have 2 assigned to these 3 developments. I'm asking that more police officers be sent to PSA 1 so that at least another team of NCOs can be assigned to these 3 developments so that they can continue with the exceptionally good work that they do. The CPR that's on the side of every police car, those 3 words exemplify all the officers at PSA 1.
Well, Thank you very much. First of all, I really appreciate everything you said and the way you put forward your idea, but I especially appreciate the service that you provide to the people you represent there. Let's give her a round of applause. So let's talk about neighborhood policing. Has been a huge success. NCO program has worked in terms of bonding communities and police and helping everyone be more effective together. But you're raising an excellent point. Has to be enough coverage to work. So what do we feel about this question of these three developments and the level of NCO coverage they have?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner O'Neill is rolling out this neighborhood coordination officer program. It's been a phenomenal success, and under Captain Kinsella's tutelage, these officers are doing a great job. We're looking to expand it, but we want to roll it out completely citywide, and it's going to be assessed, and I'm quite sure with the work they're doing and the public support it's getting, there's going to be more officers assigned.
Okay, so the goal, so this is, but I want a specific, who's from the PSA? Okay, so that's a very good answer, Chief, but I want to now hone it a little bit more. Is it, I assume this is accurate, you've got 3 developments, 2 NCOs covering 3 developments.
Yes, so I'm newly assigned to PSA 1, as you know. I looked into it, and after the summer, we're going to be looking into expanding our neighborhood coordination program to 2 more officers, because we understand that there is a greater need with Brookline having 36 buildings and Bayview. So to accurately provide assistance, we are providing 2 more officers after the summer.
Okay, that's your new best friend right there. Okay. Let's go. All right.
Okay, moving on to this section. Lady with sunglasses.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Mayor, good afternoon all. A couple of years ago, I heard something about mental health liaison with regards within the police department to assist police officers in negotiating with people who are mentally compromised. Still, I'm reading articles of people fatalities resulting from these wellness checks. That's the police are called upon to assist in addressing those people. So I just wanted to understand the process of this mental health liaison. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent question. I thank you. As you know, I think my wife, Charlene, has been leading the way in terms of trying to reorient everything the city does to focus on mental health and to provide a lot more support to families that are dealing with mental health challenges. One of the things that's been very powerful is the training of police officers. I think it's now over 8,000 officers have been trained in crisis intervention, and also making a lot more services available so that if an officer needs a crisis intervention team to engage, that they're more available now. It's still not the level we want it to be, but it is growing steadily. But the point you raise is an excellent one. The wellness checks, overwhelmingly, that's a process that works for everyone's benefit. There have been a few notable tragedies, and the problem is what do you do in those situations? And what officers are trained to do is to, in every way possible, show restraint until additional support can come that's trained to handle the situation. That's what happens the vast majority of times. There have been a couple of situations where there was sudden escalation, unpredictable things happened, but what we're trying to make the norm is to have that training of officers be so widespread and the availability of specialized units or crisis intervention folks be widespread enough to address that. The one thing I think that is missing, that is the community side of the equation, is if community members know that someone has a persistent mental health problem, we need to know about it so we can connect them to help. And families sometimes feel some stigma about that, which is why what the First Lady is working on is to try and destigmatize and help people know if it's a situation where you have to call for a wellness check for an officer, that means there's an underlying problem that we have to get at well before that. So one thing I would just ask of everyone in the room, and I want to make sure everyone has this number, if there's anybody in your life with a consistent mental health problem, there's now a single number you can call in this city and get them counseling or get them ongoing support. It's 888-NYC-WELL. So I'll make sure everyone knows that number. It is the all-purpose number, 24/7, multiple languages. for folks with anxiety, depression. If tragically, if someone's addicted to opioids, they can get support through that number, whatever it may be. So it's 888-NYC-WELL. And to prove to me that that is now in your brain, will you please repeat it with me? 1-888-NYC-WELL. Thank you very, very much.
Okay.
You're right about that.
We have two people I want to recognize, the district leader for the 40th Assembly District and the district leader for the 58th Assembly District. Melba Brown, 58th District, and Nikki Lucas from the 40th Assembly District. So, yeah, you have a question too? All right, so ask.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Councilman, Mr. Mayor, welcome to our home.
Thank you.
I have an experience, and the experience is that we moved to a beautiful tree-lined, quiet street, and for years we enjoyed that. I'm talking about quality of life issue. And then at the corner of 105 and Flatlands, they had a mom and pop gas station. Well, the man died, and after he died, whoever took over, it now belongs to 7-Eleven. And envision that. They have 6 little tiny spots that they're trying to have their customers back into. And we have the BM103 coming down, 6 and 8 of them. So the whole block is taken over with that, and the noise that they make like it's a new orchestra. And when that is happening...
Okay, wait, just for in the interest of speed, because we got a lot of people waiting. Just
okay.
Who took it over?
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven. Okay, and what would you like to see happen?
1 second, Mr. Mayor.
Ma'am, work with me. I got a lot of people here. Come on.
In addition to that, when those things are going off, all the alarms for the cars are going off.
Okay, I got the concern.
That's my point.
Which precinct is that? Anyone know?
It's the 69,
okay.
But it's not my 69 problem.
Okay, what are we going to do about it?
Thank you. You're
welcome. Always a pleasure to see you, Miss Brown. It is. She knows how I feel about her. She's our community council vice president, actually. But Ms. Brown, can you please repeat your question? I'm trying to understand exactly what is. Yeah.
Hey, wait.
Yes.
We gotta go faster. So you're gonna follow up.
Yeah, I'll follow up.
Follow up directly.
Ms. Brown, we know each other very well.
He'll be all over it. Okay, go ahead.
All right. On this side? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
And I'm sitting here since 3 o'clock to speak to you, and I'm being passed by the chairman of...
Ma'am, you have not. Everyone is being called upon as quickly as you can. Go ahead.
I am terminally ill, and I am refused money or payments from these so-called agencies they have that they call home health care. And it's happening to a lot of seniors. The doctor from Memorial and Brooklyn Hospital got to get permission from them before they treat me. And instead of treating me who got injured at 9/11 and they ain't even looking at me, which I'm not even acknowledged, they sent me now to hospice. When we went to hospice said, if I sign up and come in there, I will not be treated. I'm 76 years of age. I got 36 grandchildren and 9 great-grand. Or you can send me to die just like that and you won't treat me. These home health agencies, please, Mr. Mayor, need to be investigated. WellCare, ArchCare, Special Touch, everybody. They need to be investigated because they take your money and they're just throwing you in a corner. And we, the seniors, are suffering. And if the others don't want to talk, please.
Thank you. I will make sure. I'm sorry for everything you've been through, and I want to make sure we follow up because what you said is very powerful. We don't want to see anyone else go through it. So I'm going to have our Aging Commissioner and Dr. Belkin, our Deputy Commissioner for Health, both of them will follow up with you. And if there's specific locations that you think we're treating you inappropriately, we need to look into those. So we will do that right away. Thank you.
Okay, on this side. Gentlemen in the orange. We'll get
Good
to
evening,
everybody.
Mr. Mayor, I just want you to take this very seriously. Construction is being done through this whole city. So I hope East New York can get treated like the east side of New York. When I say that, barricades are not being properly put out when residents are crossing the streets, and it's filthy. So if you go through Brownsville, East New York, where all the construction is being done, you will notice that, I mean, a couple of times I had to help seniors cross the streets because there's no proper barricades. Trust me, just take a ride. That's what I'm asking you to do. Take a ride through the whole city, and then you will see what I'm saying.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And what I want to, first of all, anything about safety becomes #1 priority. So, again, our borough commissioner for DOT and you guys regulate.
Yes, we do.
So
construction sites on streets.
So can you follow up on specific locations he knows of, and then what kind of enforcement can we do if a construction company doesn't put out the appropriate barriers?
Correct. So if they're not protecting pedestrians, they're supposed to give a safe space for pedestrians to walk. If they're not protecting them, we'll go out there and issue a notice of violation. And if
What's the consequence? Let's go straight to what can you do
we'll give them
about
a
it?
fine. We'll give them a monetary fine if they don't do it. So we'll check on all those sites.
Right.
Right.
I'm with him. So let's. I want you to elevate your explanation. How do we make them do it?
When we have an inspector out there, we usually go and talk to a supervisor. Typically, they straighten out right away. So that's what we'll do.
Okay. So you'll get you will talk after and give them locations.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Mayor.
Hey there.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Have you ever watched The Bachelor?
The Bachelor.
Uh-huh.
Where is this going?
I'm going to get there. When Becca met the race car driver, she said to him, let's do the damn thing. So that she would skip all the romance. So I'm with the Canarsie Improvement Association, and I want to say, let's do the damn thing. Bring the ferry to Canarsie.
All right, that's you. That was a very inventive pitch. Memorable pitch.
Okay,
I tell you, we are looking at it very seriously, and we're going to decide this year. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor.
Hey.
Councilman, sorry. I'm here to speak on behalf of DOC as far as me being a correction officer. You spoke about there's going to be things implemented where corrections officers will be safe. The thing is, the assaults on staff are happening now, and we are dealing with staff that's getting assaulted, stabbed, and it's becoming too frequent. It used to be a time when we used to say it could be you. Now it will be you. We need help. It needs to be done immediately because we're scared. Somebody is literally going to die in these jails. I don't know exactly what's going to happen when they put these jails in the facilities of the boroughs, but it's only putting a Band-Aid on the situations that's going on. The policies is only implementing inmates to just straight do what they want to do to us. And, you know, speaking from an officer's point of view, I feel like changes should be made. I'm optimistic that they will be made. I feel like it should be done sooner than later.
Yes. No, I want to emphasize that because we're talking about several different parts of the solution, but that's not in any way suggesting we have time to waste. So first of all, I mentioned how many officers we had hired. That happened already. You know, there was a huge need, and a lot of it was being filled by overtime, and to the point that many officers were saying it was more they could handle to have to do so much overtime. Right, but my point is we kept hiring and hiring and hiring. I want to emphasize that's not something theoretical. That happened. Those officers were hired, and we're going to keep hiring to achieve the safety that you deserve. So I think the #1 thing we can do for safety is to have strength in numbers. We're going to also be moving officers around so that there are enough officers to guarantee safety. I've seen some of the videos that you've seen, and what I immediately want to know is there enough officers nearby to protect each other? So we'll keep adding where we need to do that. Also, the segregating away some of the gang members from each other, which we think is going to be important to officer safety. So all of these things are happening, and they need to happen more and more. I mentioned the ESU units, them moving around a lot more, larger numbers of them moving around. But we will not tolerate a situation where there's these kind of incidents. And another difference, and it's a big difference, is we're a little bit dealing with the culture of the past where there was not rearrest and charges and further consequences. Some of the folks, some of the inmates who did some of these recent incidents have now had, not only additional charges, but convictions. And that's going to spread. That word is going to spread that if you do something like that, you are adding years to your time in prison. So we got to do all of that and more. There is no lack of urgency. We got to do it right now. It's not, I think when we have the new jails, it will be better because they're just going to be higher quality equipment and everything will be modern. And that we also, to get to that point, remember, we're going to keep driving down the inmate population. But I've said that anyone who's on staff now is staying on staff. We are not reducing staff levels. We keep increasing them, but we're driving down the inmate population. So that ratio is going to keep improving of more officers to fewer inmates. And I think that's part of safety as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been patiently waiting. I'm recording because folks that couldn't be here, they wanted to hear you. My name is Debbie Tiamfuk, and I'm the president of 4C Community Outreach and Canarsie Strong project, and which was formed shortly after Sandy, because I believe a community to be sustainable and vibrant must have vital businesses, housing, and my question really was a business question. I also wanted to ask one regarding to health and
Which one?
And my garden. I run a community garden. I'm only going to do one. I have a community garden and backyard gardeners program in which we started. Any of my backyard gardeners
We got
in
a lot
here?
of people waiting. Which one's it going to be?
The one is going to be for my neighbor who couldn't be here, and I think most of you may have known her, Molly. She had to be at work. She's working.
What's
and
the
it's
question?
a build it back question.
Okay.
The build it back question is what is going to be done with folks who are still 7 years after Sandy, not yet in a situation being made whole, and
Okay, I got it. I really need to, we're running out of time, so I got to get the people. Let me stop you there and answer your question. It's 5 years after Sandy. Any specific questions you have, we're going to have people follow up on.
Yeah.
But on the broad answer, there are, thank God, only a handful of homes left to be finished, with the exception of a couple of cases where there's litigation or other very exceptional situations. All of the homes in Build It Back are going to be finished this year, and then we're done with Build It Back. And I have said publicly, God forbid there's ever another Sandy, first of all. But the Build It Back model was not a good model. We're never going to use it again, but we will finish it this year. Go ahead.
All right. Our assemblyman from the northern part of Canarsie, Nick Perry, is here. Nick, say hello. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming to Canarsie, Mayor. I know you know Brooklyn well.
Yes, sir.
And Canarsie is a very important part of my district. I'm out of my district right now, my colleague Jamie Williams' district. Know that a lot of our neighborhoods are being under the pressure of solicitation from developers who want to buy their property and build, a lot of times changing the character of the neighborhood. And I just wanted to make this known to the community that we have printed, for those of you who get unwanted solicitations through the mail or people knocking on your doors, I've made available through my office a sign that says, "This house is not for sale." Please do not ring the bell or leave letters of solicitation. It's available through my office free. So you could post that on your door to keep the harassment down. Only if you want to sell.
Thank you, Assemblymember. And let me add, this is a really good concept, Assemblymember. Thank you, because a lot of people are being made offers that are too good to be true, because they're not true. So I think this notion of speaking up and saying that don't even try and make such a false solicitation is a very smart strategy. Thank you, Assembly Member.
Okay.
Okay, let me say one more thing. We are in our lightning round. We have 15 minutes left. We're going to try and get to a good handful of people with quick question, quick answer. Go.
Okay. Gentleman with the gray T-shirt.
Quick, 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 quick.
Wrong T-shirt.
Wrong T-shirt. Okay, quick question.
You, yes, sir, yes.
Now, he went already, didn't he? Didn't he go already?
Well, he was raising his hand.
It doesn't matter. No, he asked one already. Call again, someone else.
All right, you're standing already.
Okay.
I'll make it quick, Mr. Mayor. You've been addressed. Several people have asked you about your program for affordable housing for homeless. You've answered that.
Yes, sir.
But you still won't make a commitment to 10% for people coming out of the shelters.
I will not.
Especially with the children. And I find that
I'm answering you because in the interest of speed. I am very consciously not making that commitment. You're asking my view, and I'm telling you my view. I believe that our affordable housing program is for everyone. I do not want to segment out a piece like that for folks who are homeless. I think we have a variety of other ways to get folks who are homeless to permanent housing and to prevent them from becoming homeless to begin with. That's our strategy.
Okay, gentleman in the orange.
Okay, quick question. Quick, quick, quick.
Yeah.
Greetings. How you doing? I applaud your commitment on education, right? So my question is this. With the DOE, and this is for like everybody, right? What are y'all doing to create more information in the curriculum in the schools about our people's origin, Asiatic people, the dark-skinned people of America, including the fact that we were here, has something to do with the Constitution, right?
Yep.
And all of these great foundational works of the world that are not included in the curriculum so that our children could have a higher self-esteem,
I got it.
get in less trouble.
I got it. Come on, we're in a lightning round. Come over, First
and
Deputy
can y'all also
Chancellor.
add something in there
No,
for consideration?
I got you. First Deputy Chancellor, very quick answer. How are we creating a curriculum that addresses the whole truth of history?
Yes, I thank you for that question. We're doing a lot of work this summer on developing culturally responsive education and training teachers on how to make the curriculum more relevant for all children. So I thank you for that, and I would love the opportunity to share.
Follow up. Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Lightning round.
In the blue.
And let me say also, anyone, if you've asked a question, we do not do a second question.
Yes.
So self-regulate on that. Go ahead.
Good evening. Very quickly, are you satisfied, or could you tell us what you're doing enough for us for when the L-train goes down? Because many of us, it's our lifeline to get to work.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mentioned the L-train at the beginning, but I'll amplify the point. We think it's going to be a huge challenge. We are putting a lot of resources into it, as our MTA. So there's going to be a huge number of additional shuttle buses. There's going to be closer in additional ferry services, a variety of things being put in place. It's still going to be a lot of dislocation. The one thing I'm most concerned about is to keep it as brief as it can be. It's supposed to be 15 months. We're going to try and hold them to that. But there will be a lot of additional transportation alternatives provided for people.
Okay, gentleman, the beige shirt.
Mr. Mayor, I'm the president of a nonprofit in Canarsie. We had a listening session with the block leaders the other day, and the number one issue in Canarsie is that we don't have a community center. The second one was that we got to get the kids involved.
Stay on the first one.
But what I'm saying is that I had a listening session with the kids, the 18 to 35, and they had the same issue, community center. And we used that eminent domain to build the Barclays Center. Why can't we got one in Canarsie?
Okay, I got you. So again, wherever we can, we are trying to add additional community centers around the city, but we can't do it everywhere, is the honest truth. We'll certainly look at any idea the council member has if there's some place that we should examine.
Well, we are in a community center.
Well, and we're in one now. But the thing I want to emphasize, is the first productive answer. The first thing we should be doing is getting all middle school kids who are not in our existing after school to take full advantage of it. Thousands more kids we could take, and they would not have to pay a dime. Go ahead. Everybody, we only got a few more left.
Okay, the lady over here in the, yes.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Maisel. My name is Renee Martin. I'm a resident of Canarsie. I live in the Bayview houses. I feel that, I don't know what type of, you said you're building new jails in the boroughs.
Yep.
What kind of programs are you putting in those jails so these inmates are not being so cunning and thinking of negative things to do? Are you giving them GED programs?
Yep.
Things where when they come out, they can try and they feel secure enough about themselves to go look for work. Because
Excellent,
a lot of them have been, you know, they came up through the roads in school, they were bullied. They fear to ask questions themselves because they feel they should know certain things.
I got you.
And they
I got
don't.
you. I'm going to answer your question.
And they put them in jail and they just think of how they're going to hurt one another, and it's...
I got it. I got it. It's a very powerful question, and I'm happy to give you an answer I think you will agree with. So when we announced a number of the changes that we were making to address the situation at Rikers Island, we also announced that we were changing how we provide education and training to folks who are inmates, whether they are convicted and serving time or whether they're awaiting trial. So in the previous mayoral administration, the average was 1 hour a day of education and training. We have now mandated 5 hours a day of education and training for every inmate, 5 hours a day, and training and preparation and counseling for reentry to society. That starts at the very beginning of their time, looking forward positively to how they'll get back on their feet and never have to come back to jail. And the third point is, for those who are there and who have done a brief sentence, they get the right to go out to a transitional job. And this is very important. Literally now, we have mandated that you could come out of our correction system into a 3-month transitional job. Yes, nonviolent offenders, and they can go into a transitional job that then sets them up for other employment. So absolutely what you're talking about. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our host wants to say something.
Hello, I just want to answer the gentleman who said about community centers. So I'm the executive director of HES. We're hosting the mayor here, and we have every day over 1,200 people walking through our doors. We have a free UPK program. We have an ACS Early Learn program. We have a Sonic program for middle school free of charge. We are running campus programs in public schools for elementary school. We have a teen program every Sunday for free of charge. And we have a lot of other programs for free and senior centers in this building that we welcome everybody. On September 16, we actually have an open house, and everybody is welcome to see what we offer to the community. And
Okay.
everybody is welcome.
And I think you two should meet. You should meet with her and see if you can maximize opportunity for everyone. Okay, here's the deal. We're closing in on the end of our time. 5 more questions. We'll try and do them as quickly as possible. Council member,
Okay.
5 more.
Good evening. My question is, as a handicapped person, what is going to be done with these bus stops that when the snow falls, those become crazy for any of us to even cross or get on the bus?
Thank you. I appreciate the question. And the first thing I want to say in answer to this is I want to recognize something that has been very different and an improvement. This is not yet about the bus stops, but a bigger point. Have you noticed in the snowstorms lately how much better a job the sanitation department is doing at clearing the snow in this city? I want to give credit where credit is due. Thank you, Commissioner. But this is a very sensitive point. The bus stops and folks with disabilities, what can we do to help make that work for people?
Absolutely. So it is always fun to get a question about snow in August. I try not to think about it till at least October. But no, we do focus on the bus stops coming out of snow. We are more effective when the temperatures don't go down too low, but we have added new equipment to more easily clear the sidewalk areas so that you can get to the bus, which is really the big challenge for many people, well, actually for almost all people, but particularly for people who have mobility issues. We also try and make sure that we are dealing with any place where accessoride is coming to. They have some places that they tend to pick up and drop off, and we've coordinated what those locations are to make sure they're prioritized. Right, so that you can get on and wheel in. So we do try and make sure that we are making enough space at the front and the back so that that can occur. Well, we will follow up and see which line you are on to make sure that we are prioritizing where you seem that they're struggling.
Okay, we got it, No too much back and forth, but she will follow up directly. Commissioner, you'll follow up directly?
Yes.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
just quickly, there's going to be a walk to fight suicide October 27th in the Carmine Carroll Center Marine Park. This will be posted on my Facebook, so if you want to get the information. And we also have Judith Destin, who is an associate in District Attorney's Office.
All right.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
And Carrie Fisher is the Deputy Bureau Chief Trial Bureau, right? District Attorney's Office.
Okay. Four more.
Lady in green.
Miss.
You're doing a transfer? I'm not sure it's that.
You're not the lady in green.
That's not legal.
I'm a.
Wait, what happened to lady in green? Hold on. Lady in green, did you yield to him?
Yes,
because he's shy. He's shy?
No.
Well, then why aren't you talking? This makes no sense.
She doesn't know my question.
Hold on. This is getting very confusing. Okay. Is he speaking for you?
No, I'm speaking for myself.
Okay, but we called on her.
No, you don't know my question.
Lady in green. Hold on,
I'm a 30-year educator.
I will call on both of you.
Hold on. We called on her. I want to see why she is not taking the question. Thank you.
Retired New York City teacher. The question to you, Mr. Mayor, is, does the city have a plan to stop and reverse the policy of closing so-called low-performing schools? Because this policy, it harms the students and it reduces student services. They have low-performing schools, but we keep closing them and closing them. We bring in charter schools and things, but it's not fair to the lower performing
Okay.
schools.
You're asking a big, important question. I'm going to try and do the quick version of it. And come on, First Deputy Chancellor, remember, when you hear your subject matter, you come over. She's new. It's her first few weeks on the job. We're going to give her a break. Okay, I'm going to give the basic answer, but I'd like you to do a follow-up. So, we, in this administration, very different from the previous administration, okay? Previous administration's policy was close a lot of schools. They created what they regarded as smaller schools, and they like to start charter schools. That's the past. Our policy was we created a 3-year initiative called the Renewal Schools. We took a number of schools that were challenged, but we believed with investment could turn around. We gave them additional resources, additional school day, additional after school, additional tutoring, you name it. And lo and behold, some of those schools did turn around and now are no longer in the renewal program. There's another, I think 46 that are being given an additional year, hopefully to make additional progress. There is not the same policy that you referred to on the charter schools. Charter schools have a right to exist. They have a right to certain public funding, but this administration is focused on trying to get traditional public schools to work and not to throw them away because they've had historic problems, but help resolve their problems and address them. So that's how we are approaching it. Now that said, and this is important, and the First Deputy Chancellor is going to be leading the charge with the Chancellor. If after a lot of investment and additional help, we don't believe a school is working, we still reserve the right to say in some cases there needs to be a different model. But that model from our point of view is typically not a charter school. It is a new traditional public school. And she'll follow up with you.
Okay, Mr. Sedio, you wanted to say something.
Thank you, Mr. Sedio.
As someone who's lived there a few days, we're glad to have you in our community. I wanted to just bring out a point and an observation I've seen around the city. As you know, I had spent a little time in the Department of Transportation. One of the things that's occurred, and it appears that when they do new construction projects, it appears that almost every site gets the parking lane to be utilized for their construction, and that's affected a lot of the traveling by automobile. This end of Brooklyn, is not well served by public transportation.
Right.
And cars many times are the only way we were able to go to the northern parts of the borough. I do want to compliment you, by the way, on the work that was done on Flatbush Avenue north of Grand Army Plaza. It's worked fabulously.
Yeah.
Cut traveling time enormously.
You mean not having the deliveries
That's
during
right.
the rush hour?
From 7
yeah.
to 10.
Yeah.
But if you'll, and I'm not sure who handles it. I don't know, Keith, you do it yourself. But throughout the city, the parking lane in every construction site is blocked by barriers,
Right.
which eliminates parking 24 hours a day, not just when the work is being done.
Right.
And affects the traffic flow.
Okay, that's a great point, and I want us to follow up on it. So I think this is where there's a parking lane that should be blocked 24 hours, that's fine, but where it shouldn't be blocked 24 hours, we should be enforcing that and changing that. So we need to follow up about that. On the question of the morning rush hour and the evening rush hour, we're trying to do a very important experiment, and you're right, we're doing it on Flatbush Avenue to see if we do not allow deliveries during rush hour, if that's going to smooth out the traffic and speed up the traffic. So far, we see some good results. So we'll do more on that, but we'll follow up on the parking issue. Three more.
Three more, okay. Assemblywoman?
Wait. Assemblywoman is not going to count against your three, but
I'm so
we'll let her
sorry.
go a second time because she's an Assemblywoman.
Okay, thank you so much. Just one thing on the transportation. For many people who do use the dollar vans, for some people it works out really good. But for us who live in Mill Basin and other parts where Flatbush is concerned, is there any oversight where the dollar vans are concerned? And what are the perimeters where the dollar vans can be picking up passengers? And do they have to go through our residential street, making it a hazard for homeowners and for children who live on those blocks? And I'm actually talking about adjacent to Kings Plaza. It is a hazard, and we have dollar vans going through Avenue N, Avenue L, Avenue M, Avenue J to pick up passengers in the morning. And I know the 63rd Precinct is doing a great job, but we need to have some oversight from your office. Thank you.
Okay, let's hear from the experts on those questions. And tell them who you are, everyone.
Okay. I'm Bill Heinzen from Taxi and Limousine Commission. We've greatly increased in the last 2 years our enforcement against illegal dollar vans. I know it was a problem. I know it was addressed at the last town hall here. In addition to, we have more of our guys have more of a presence than they have in the past. We're writing a lot more summonses. We're starting to seize more and more vans. We're also doing joint operations.
And this, just to clarify, I'm sorry to interrupt, to clarify, this is your question was about dollar vans in general, as I heard it. What he's starting with is talking about how we're addressing the illegal dollar vans to begin with. So let's be very clear. First, we're talking about how we're stopping the illegal vans from being on the streets. Go ahead.
So we're doing joint operations with the police department. We've been increasing those, writing more and more summonses, taking more vans off the road. And we also, in partnership with the sheriff's office, which he can speak about, have also been taking more off the road. I would urge you to contact me. I'll give you my information about any of the particular hotspots you've mentioned. I know about Kings Plaza Mall, but I'm very interested to hear more about where we can direct our enforcement resources.
And Jamie, we spoke about this issue plenty of times. The TLC, absolutely, we've done 6 joint operations where 74 summonses were served. The speeding enforcement is up on the Flatbush corridor, up 122 speeding summonses for the year. That's a 30% increase. Also, like TLC said, they are doing more confiscations. It's not just as easy as taking a van, but the confiscations have gone up. The summons enforcement has gone up 13% on TLC summonses, and the arrests are up almost 40%.
And what about the
Suspended
question,
licenses.
hold on one more, what about the question on the legal vans? Are there streets they can and can't go on? Can we be clear on that?
I mean, Jamie, I don't believe there's a prohibition on a dollar van driving down a street.
Wait. They're not a truck, though, in the eyes of the law, though,
No.
right? They're not.
Why are the dollar vans
Because they're not, no, literally, I'm trying to answer you till we're all being clear here. They are not prohibited the same way a truck is. Is that the, am I right or wrong about that?
You're right.
Okay.
Correct.
They are allowed to be on those streets. That's what I wanted to hear them confirm. But the illegals are not allowed to be anywhere, and the good news is now they can be seized, and there's literally a forfeiture that the government can take the illegals off the streets in a way we couldn't before. We now have the legal jurisdiction to do that. Okay, three more non-elected officials.
Lady in the pink.
Good evening. Mr. Mayor and the head of NYCHA, I would like to know if you're still going to go according to plans to have private developers build luxury apartments on NYCHA parking lots.
The plan that we are working on and have been working on for the last few years is if there is development that will provide substantial money to NYCHA, we will consider it. What we've been doing so far is typically either a mix of affordable housing and private, or in some cases just affordable. We're going to look at every option, and we are going to come forward with a plan soon to talk about how we produce the maximum amount of money for NYCHA. The problem right now is NYCHA needs $31 billion. All the things that people have legitimately asked us to do to improve NYCHA, and the chair is here. I want to, Mr. Chairman, we're over here, Mr. Chairman. I don't know what I got to do to get my people to come over where I am. The chair of NYCHA, who is doing very important work to help 400,000 New Yorkers in NYCHA. I want to thank Chair Stan Brezhnev for all he is doing. We need $31 billion to fix everything there. We will not get it from the federal government anytime soon. We're not getting almost anything from the state government. We have put in our administration, about $4 billion new dollars into NYCHA, but there's a huge amount of need. Private development that gives us substantial money for NYCHA, we will consider. But that is only if we believe it will give the money that will help fix the development around it and in the immediate area, and that it's going to give us enough money and that it's not going to undermine the quality of life for residents. This is how we keep NYCHA public. And this is really important for people to hear. We are going to maintain public ownership and public control, and rent levels stay the same. But if we don't get a whole lot more money, we cannot make the repairs that people desperately need. So that's the plan. All right. Okay. Two more. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Get a microphone. There you go.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I just have one issue. Kings Highway, it's an island there. Actually, the whole intersection of Kings Highway and 48th Street needs to be addressed. I have some photos that I took earlier this evening. There's a ponding effect there.
Wait, I'm having a little trouble hearing what. Just get this close, get the microphone close to your mouth and tell me what's your issue.
There's a ponding effect.
Ponding?
Ponding. Water.
Where exactly?
Kings Highway. It's an island there on the northeast corner.
Where? Kings Highway and what?
East 48th Street.
East 48th. Okay. Do you guys know about this?
Secondly, it's the whole thing needs to be upgraded.
Okay. Let's get you an answer. What's the answer? We got the DEP commissioner with us in addition to the borough commissioner. What do you got?
And it's been like that for 20 years.
Okay. Yeah. What are we going to do?
DEP and DOT will be looking at it. We got it.
Okay, they're going to follow up with you, and let's try and resolve it. Okay, we are down to the very
Okay, there's a lady in
last.
pink that's been raising her hand all night. No, you're not the lady in pink, Stephen.
Thank you.
Good try, Steve. Okay. All right, this is the last question of the evening.
Sorry. My question is about the shutdown of the L-Train, whether the solution is shuttle buses or ferries. I go to school in Manhattan, and sometimes I get out of school at 9 o'clock. I'm more concerned about my safety coming home. Will there be increased NYPD presence in neighborhoods where the shuttles will be rerouted to?
Yeah, so I think, again, the magnitude of this is a great question. The magnitude of the L-Train shutdown, there probably has not been anything quite like this previously in terms of the sheer number of people affected. So we're going to have to make sure we address all of the kind of domino effect of what it does. So, for example, where's the area you're concerned about? Where you're worried about walking? Where are you concerned about?
Down Rockaway Parkway. I live across the street from Canarsie High School.
Okay, so who's got that? Okay, so let's use you as an example. If you know the L-Train shutdown is coming, and you know that there's going to be a different reality. Although, again, you know, remember, a lot of the L train will work. Just want to caution, a lot of the L train's going to work. It's not going to cross the river. It's not going to go into Manhattan. But the route's going to work for a whole lot of the rest of the route. But if you are concerned about any place where things change because of the L-Train shutdown, what will you do about it?
We will increase our presence at that location. No problem.
There's your answer. Okay, good answer for the last one. Thank you, everyone.